I believe without a shadow of a doubt that the most powerful tool that we have when it comes to manifesting your life and your dreams is your intuition. And I can say that in my life, my intuition has been my North Star in creating the life of my dreams and continuing to expand beyond where I am and manifest more and more abundance into my life. But intuition can almost feel like a hot word these days on social media, and the way that it's used and described can be very dismissive. So many people just say, follow your intuition, listen to your intuition, lead with your intuition, but don't really explain how to do that or what it means. And I'm just not about that vibe, as y'all know, here on the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. And so today on the podcast, we are going to be talking about how you can connect to and strengthen your intuition, because this will be literally such a game changer for you when it comes to you creating the life of your dreams and actually manifesting what you want. What's up, and welcome to the No Bullshit Manifestation Show, the podcast that demystifies all of the nonsense that surrounds manifestation and gives you a realistic view of what it's like to be on a personal, professional, and spiritual growth journey. I'm your host, Kat Kozad, manifestation and money mindset expert, and I'm so happy you're here. Let's fucking do this thing. Ooh, guys, this is such an exciting podcast episode for me because if you know me, you know that I literally blindly follow my intuition through life. I was actually having a conversation with my aunt this morning, and she was asking me what my 5-year, 10-year game plan was for myself. And I, with complete honesty, transparency, and proudness, say, I don't know. Because I don't know what my intuition's going to want in 6 weeks, let alone 6 months, let alone 6 years. And therefore, while yes, I know deep down in my core, I want to have children someday. I would love to be a wife. I would love to continue to run my own business and travel the world and do all of these things that are givens to me. I don't actually know what the course of that is going to look like. And I think that a lot of the times in our society, there's so much stress and pressure put on needing to actually have a set out, laid out game plan of where you're going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And while, yes, for some people that may really work, for some people it also may not. It may be very limiting. And I know in my case, if somebody would have told me 5 years ago that I would be in the position where I am today, I wouldn't have believed them, because back 5 years ago, I actually did have a 5-year plan, and it was to be in the food and beverage industry and to hopefully be able to buy my first house somewhere in Colorado and have a dog and maybe a partner. And since really learning how to strengthen and connect to my intuition, everything has changed. And intentional manifestation has become so much more effortless because your intuition is truly your superpower. Intuition is the guiding force for your manifestation. So like I said in the intro, today that's what we're going to be diving into. And I'm going to be giving you a few different ways that you can actually start to connect to and strengthen your intuition. Some practical, tactical ways that you can do it, which sounds hilarious because your intuition is a very illogical thing. So with that being said, what actually is your intuition? So your intuition is an illogical force that lives within you. The way that I like to describe it is that your intuition is a guiding light inside of you that is always trying to take you down the path of your highest good and the path of your soul. So this can be the path that guides you towards your dreams, your soulmate, your way of making millions of dollars, to your purpose, your passion, the people that you are supposed to meet and be connected to in this lifetime. Your intuition is literally guiding you to all things that are meant for you and for your highest good. So whatever it is that you have a unique desire for, or the intentions that you set to manifest, as long as those things are in alignment with your soul and for your highest good, your intuition will lead you and guide you to them. So, for example, in my life, my entire life I've felt intuitive, but didn't have the words to put around it, and also felt very confused by it because my head and my heart, my head and my intuition were in a constant battle with each other. My ego and my intuition were constantly battling each other, and oftentimes the ego won, because the ego is this voice of doubt and safety and reason inside of you that is always trying to protect you. It's always trying to keep you in the comfort zone, even if your comfort zone sucks. And man, oh man, did my comfort zone suck. So an example from my life, back when I was in this battle between my ego and my intuition, my ego led me to my rock bottom moment, where I was $70,000 in debt, working 60 plus hours a week in a dead-end job, living paycheck to paycheck, partying, drinking, doing all of these things to kind of numb out and not be fully connected to my life, because my life at that time felt so painful. And when I was in that rock bottom moment, I one day had this very strong intuitive pull. It felt like this white energy rushing through my body that told me, Kat, you need to change your life. And from that moment moving forward, I continued to pay attention to, what is this voice inside of me? What is this feeling inside of me that continues to tell me that there's more for me, that I'm meant for more, that there's more money, more abundance, more connection, more love available to me? And how can I strengthen that and listen to that? And so as I started to listen to that voice, the message that kept coming through for me was, my faith is greater than my fears. And so on a day-to-day basis, I would literally say, my faith is greater than my fears to myself in my head all day long. Like, that was the song playing in my head all day long. My faith is greater than my fears. My faith is greater than my fears. My faith is greater than my fears. And as I continue to reaffirm that to myself, I continue to feel into and listen to any sort of intuitive pulls, or at that time didn't necessarily know that they were intuitive pulls, but these feelings of like, okay, maybe I should listen to this. And so when I started to learn about intentional manifestation, I was terrified to share it with other people, because nobody in my life had ever talked to me about manifestation before, really. And the people who did, I was like, you're bullshitting, you're not telling the truth, and really like frowned upon it myself. And so when I first started my intentional manifestation journey, I was very much so in like the spiritual closet, but my intuition kept on telling me to share this message with the world. And so I started posting about it on my Instagram, and through posting about it on my Instagram, just to the people that I used to know in high school and people from my hometown, some people from Denver that had followed me on Instagram, I started to share that message, and so many people started to reach out to me and really just honor and recognize me for the change that they were seeing in my life, from where I was at to where I was getting because of intentional manifestation. And as I continued to share the message, more and more people started to reach out to me and ask them if I could help them with these specific things myself. And so I started to help people, and as I continued in on doing that, I got the intuitive pull of like, oh, I could start a business doing this. Like, this is something that I could get paid to do. This is something I'm good at. This is something that I've done for myself. And as I listened to my intuition, y'all know, I mean, if you've been here, the rest of the story of the fact that I'm now a multiple six-figure entrepreneur. I've been able to completely clear out all of that debt that I have, and now live a life of complete freedom thanks to my intuition. And that is just such a powerful example of like, okay, at that time, it didn't make any logical sense, because like I said, your intuition is an illogical force that lives within you. There is nothing logical about your intuition. And that's why so many people have a hard time believing in it. That's why so many people have a hard time identifying it and trusting that they can listen to it, because it doesn't make logical or practical sense. Because if your intuition made logical or practical sense, man, oh man, everybody would be living the path of their highest good. Everybody would be living their dream lives. Everybody would be just completely in alignment with and connected to their intuition. But because it's this illogical thing, That's why so many people have a hard time, because there's no evidence surrounding it. There's no actual factual evidence that you can read in a textbook or science that backs it, that says, yep, okay, this is something. But when you are connected to yourself and seriously in tune with your body as well as your mind and your emotions, your intuition becomes louder and louder and helps guide you and lead you on this path. So that's one example of what your intuition does. Another thing that your intuition does is that it helps protect and guide you from any potential danger that could be going on in your life. So it keeps you safe from things that could cause any potential harm. And I can imagine that a lot of you listening to this podcast episode will be able to resonate with this, where you've been walking down a street and suddenly you get this intuitive pull to cross to the other side or to take a different direction, or you walk into a room or a situation and there's somebody's energy that just feels so off to you and you feel as though you need to walk away from or retreat from being in that person's surroundings. That is such a powerful example of your intuition kicking in and working for you. So an example of this in my own life, this is one of, to this date, the most craziest moments that I've had with my intuition, is that when I was living in Denver, probably back in like 2016, 2017, I was working in a restaurant and I was perpetually running late, but still made it on time somehow every single day. I would literally roll out of bed like 30 minutes before my shift, and it would take me like 15 minutes to drive to work if I was hauling ass and went super fast down the interstate. And so I had one of those mornings where I was in that same sort of mode. I was getting ready to hop in my car and haul ass down the interstate. And right as I was about to get on the interstate, I had this overwhelming intuitive pull that I needed to take the back roads. So without questioning it, I just decided to take the back roads. I knew that it was going to make me late, but I did it anyways. And when I arrived at work, a few of my coworkers ran over to me. They're like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, what are you talking about?" And by the time that I had gotten to work, right where my entrance was onto the interstate, there was a 7-car pileup, and it happened right around the time that I would have been getting onto the interstate. And so my intuition didn't know it at the time, but literally by the time I got to work, there was this massive car accident. And who's to say that I actually would have been a part of it if I would have gone that way? But I believe without a shadow of a doubt that my intuition was kicking in during that moment to protect me from that harm that could have happened in my life. And so what I would love for you to do as you are sitting here listening to this podcast episode is to just take a moment to recognize if you've seen things like this play out in your life. If you've seen your intuition either guide you towards something that you know has been for your highest good, whether that be your current job or your partner, your home, your housing situation, the city that you live in, the passion or the purpose that you feel as though you're living within, and recognize that yes, there could have been logical and practical things that guided you there, but there was also probably some intuitive action, inspired action, intuitive moments that came together to make that thing a reality. Same with looking at your life and recognizing like, whoa, there actually have been those moments where some sort of potential danger could have happened and my intuition guided me away from it. My intuition protected me from that situation and kept me safe. Because like I said at the very beginning of this podcast episode, your intuition is your superpower. Your intuition is hands down the most powerful force that you have within yourself when it comes to not only manifesting the life of your dreams, but also really staying in alignment with what is for your highest good, for what your soul is here to do on planet Earth, for who you're supposed to meet, the experiences you're supposed to have, and also for protecting you and keeping you safe. So taking that moment to just honor your intuition and be like, whoa, I'm actually super fucking powerful, because I don't think we do enough of that. And I know that, there's so many reasons why, and I could do a whole podcast episode on that and go on a big old long riled up tangent. But I'm not going to do that in this podcast episode. But really recognizing that, like, you deserve that. You deserve to recognize how fucking powerful you are, and taking a moment right now to do so. And once you've done that, continuing on with this podcast episode, the way that I like to think of and describe my intuition is like this sense of inspiration that lights up inside of me. This sense of inspiration, it's almost like a light for me. For so many people, it manifests in different ways. For my friend Evie, she can actually literally hear voices that are telling her specific things, and she knows that it's her intuition, which is so fucking cool. For me, it's a very visceral feeling. It's a very deep gut feeling. It's just a knowing. And sometimes it has some sort of like exciting, expansive energy surrounding it. But other times it also just feels like a duh. Like it's a duh, of course. Like deep, strong knowing of the fact that what my intuition is bringing to the surface is true. And so for you, it can look different. It can look like you receiving actual physical messages, seeing signs in your day-to-day experience. It could be audibly hearing things. It could be getting that visceral gut reaction that I was talking about that I experience. It can manifest in so many different ways. And I really encourage you, after listening to this podcast episode, to slow down and start to understand how your intuition likes to communicate with you. What are the different ways in which your intuition shows up to communicate with you? Because the more you can recognize it and the more that you can put energy behind that, the more that you are going to create that connection to your subconscious mind and that safety surrounding it, which will help you in the process of trusting your intuition and strengthening it in a way where, yes, sometimes it may still feel kind of dull and kind of quiet, but the more and more energy, the more and more focus, the more that you listen to it, the louder it will become and the easier it will get for you to listen to your intuition. So like I said, for me, it feels like this almost wave of energy sometimes, this inspiration, this light that pops up inside of me. And it oftentimes feels very expansive. And like I said, when it's expansive, sometimes it can feel scary. Sometimes intuition and these intuitive decisions that we are making, such as like ascending to the next level, choosing to step into the next level version of yourself by, say, like investing in something, investing in a coaching program, or buying your house, or switching jobs, or telling the person that you love them, or whatever it may be. That may feel terrifying because it's taking you out of your comfort zone. But that's your intuition's purpose. It's trying to help you get out of your comfort zone because it's trying to help you manifest and create the life of your dreams. So while it may feel terrifying, it will feel expansive, and it will also feel like a duh, this is what I am supposed to be doing. Whereas a lot of the times when it comes to your head and your heart, your head and your intuition being in a battle with each other, your head and the ego will feel very contractive. So when you think about making a decision and you can't tell whether it's your intuition or your ego, what I always encourage my clients to do, and this is what I do for myself as well, is I will take a moment to slow down, take a deep breath, close my eyes, connect to my body, connect to my heart center. And really, I have my hands on my chest right now. You can't see it, but I'll put my hands here on my chest and I will feel whether it feels expansive and like I have an opening inside of myself. It feels as though it's really opening me up to opportunity and potential and expansion, or if it feels as though I'm kind of curling in on myself, I'm closing off, I'm contracting. Because if you're experiencing that contracting feeling, that's typically your ego. That's typically your ego trying to convince you that whatever it is that you are wanting to do, whether it be investing in yourself or moving or changing jobs or whatever it may be, is unsafe for you and is going to try to keep you in your comfort zone because, like I said earlier, your comfort zone, although it may suck, feels safe, feels comfortable, and that's what the ego wants you to do. That's what it's trying to protect you for and keep you in that place because of. So really checking in on that for yourself as well. If you have been making decisions from the ego that feel very contractive, but feel as though you have to make them because they are quote unquote the logical or practical thing to do, they are the safe thing to do, they are the thing that makes sense, versus that expansive but perhaps terrifying feeling from your intuition of like, okay, I know I want to follow this path. I know I want to do this thing. I know I want to trust myself. I know I want to invest in myself, whatever it may be. And the more that you follow that expansive energy, even if it's terrifying, the more that you're going to strengthen the intuition and the more that you are going to receive abundance in your life, as well as really just receive the evidence of the fact that it's safe for you to follow your intuition in the first place. So with that being said, I want to give you a few signs that you're disconnected from your intuition, just so you can see if this resonates with you. And if you are, stick around because I have a few different ways that you can start to strengthen your intuition. But a few signs that you're disconnected from your intuition. First one is that you're only doing something if it makes logical or practical sense, like we were just saying a second ago, because this is what is keeping you safe. If you are only making logical and practical decisions, it's because there is something inside of you that feels unsafe in doing anything that is not logical or practical or science-based or has evidence, and therefore keeps you in your comfort zone. Another sign could be that you feel a deep distrust in the world or in others, because when you have that deep distrust in the world or in others, you are typically moving and operating from a trauma response. You're moving and operating from a very wounded place, and it's hard to be connected to your intuition when there is lack of safety inside of yourself. Another one can be having a hard time trusting yourself, which ties in with the world and others. Another sign that you're disconnected from your intuition is that you feel like you're never walking down the path that is actually the most supportive to you and to your life. So this is something that I hear a lot of the times from the women who are thinking about coming on board for one of my programs. And prior to doing the work inside of my programs, is that they feel as though they've been on a path that hasn't necessarily been for them. So perhaps you have followed that role of graduating from school, going to college, getting a degree in something that makes logical and practical sense, check that box, finished, gone out, got a job in the job market, don't feel fulfilled by that job, but have continued to check the boxes of what I like to call the prescribed path. And that doesn't feel like the path for you. Maybe that's the path that you were told you needed to walk down, but you feel so drained and empty and discontent or just lackluster about your life because of this. That is a very telltale sign that you are disconnected from your intuition. And in addition to the prescribed path, I want to throw in there that this is something that I felt like I experienced, and I didn't follow the prescribed path, but instead I followed this path of believing that I wasn't capable of doing great things because I didn't get a college degree. So I thought that I was always going to have to work service jobs and not actually be able to do anything of my own, and always be struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, so on and so forth. And First of all, just disclaimer, I'm not saying that service jobs are bad whatsoever. If you enjoy your service job, I absolutely love that for you. I know for me, though, that working a service job was not for my highest good. It was just something that I thought I had to do because I didn't believe I was smart enough. And that was a limiting belief that I carried for such a long time after dropping out of university. And really during that time, I was just so deeply disconnected from my intuition, and I was listening so strongly to the voice of my ego that was telling me that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't capable, I had to do these things that I didn't want to do. So again, if you feel like you're walking down a path that is not the most supportive to you and to your life, that is a sign that you are disconnected from your intuition. Same with finding yourself in situations that are potentially dangerous or unsupportive. So for me, another example was when I was partying all the time, drinking, doing drugs, hanging out with men that I shouldn't have hung out with, so on and so forth. It was all out of a trauma response as opposed to my intuition, and was just so disconnected from my intuition. But for you, it may look completely different. You may have some unsupportive relationship that you're in right now that you know is unsupportive, but you continue to stick in because it feels comfortable. Or you find yourself in potentially dangerous situations financially or in relationships or whatever it may be. That is a sign that you are disconnected from your intuition. And the last one that I have for you is you end up attracting people that are not supportive into your life. This is a huge one, and I want to do a podcast episode for y'all on attracting your people very soon. This is one of the biggest things that y'all have reached out to me about recently, is about actually creating the friendships and the community of people that are your vibration and are going to understand and support the journey that you're on. And I will definitely do that for you, because this has been hands down one of the most transformative things that I've been able to manifest into my life over the past few years. And my community means everything to me. But prior to being connected to my intuition, I definitely was attracting people that were not supportive into my life. And it was really challenging to stay on track with being in alignment with my higher self and what I actually wanted to create for myself and for my life when those people were there. So those are just a few signs. There's definitely so many more signs that you're disconnected from your intuition. And truly, I can just say to you that you know whether you are disconnected from your intuition or not, because you will be able to feel or hear your intuition inside of you if you are connected to it. And if you do not feel that, that is your sign that you are disconnected from your intuition. So with that being said, I have a few different ways that you can start to strengthen your intuition. I have 4 different ways for you. But before we talk about those 4 ways that you can strengthen your intuition, I want you to know that if this podcast episode has resonated with you so far, you definitely want to put yourself on the wait list for the Abundant AF Babe Academy. The Abundant AF Babe Academy is my signature online manifestation program that has been specifically designed to help you attract and manifest more money, freedom, fulfillment, and abundance into your life without the hustle and without the grind. And one of the coolest things about the Abundant AF Babe Academy is that while we do a lot of work surrounding your relationship to money and healing that relationship with money and creating abundance mindset and tapping into the energy and frequency of wealth, we also do very, very deep healing work in terms of your relationship to yourself, the way you perceive fear, judgment, failure, discomfort, the world, relationships to others, because those are the things that oftentimes you wouldn't even guess it, but are blocking you from manifesting more money and more abundance into your life, but also just keeping you disconnected from your intuition and from your soul's purpose. So the Abundant AF Babe Academy is truly like your one-stop shop for all things that you could possibly need to manifest your dream life. And enrollment for the Abundant AF Babe Academy is going to be opening very soon for the 3rd year anniversary of the program. So I launched this program 3 years ago in October, And this is the 2.0 version. It is the new and improved. You get not only all of the transformative content inside of the actual online course, but you also get live coaching calls with me as well as somatic healing calls with me. And they are absolute game changers. The women that have been a part of the program who have applied themselves and really shown up for it have completely transformed their lives. And you can check out all of the testimonials and wins and manifestations that have come together for those women on my Instagram. I have a highlights reel full of different wins and manifestations and testimonials if you are curious and you want to see what other people have actually been able to manifest by being a part of the Abundant AF Babe Academy. But with that being said, you can put yourself on the wait list for the Abundant AF Babe Academy by clicking the link down below in the show notes. The waitlist will get early bird pricing and early bird access to the program. So there are limited spots available. And if you are wanting the most discounted price you can possibly get for the Academy and also claim your spot before enrollment opens to the general public, you need to put yourself on the wait list. So like I said, you can click down below in the show notes for the link to put yourself on the wait list. And if you have any questions whatsoever, definitely let me know. But with that being said, let's dive in to these 4 different ways that you can strengthen your intuition. So your first one is really starting to understand and get to know yourself. And I know that this is kind of a broad way to talk about this, but the most powerful way for you to get in touch with your intuition is by knowing yourself. And if you do not know yourself, then it's going to feel challenging to be connected to your intuition. So this is why doing the inner work, recognizing what your limiting beliefs are, understanding what your habits, your behaviors, so on and so forth are, is so important and powerful for the manifestation process, because this is where you actually are able to connect to and understand your intuition. So really just starting to play around with this. If you feel as though you do not know yourself, or you feel as though you do not know what you like, what you want in life, what you don't want in life, so on and so forth, it's starting to ask yourself those questions. And literally just that, posing them as questions, asking yourself, what do I want? Who do I want to be? What life do I want to live? Because a lot of the times we just don't ask ourselves. We just move through the motions of life and say, hey, that's good enough, and go on to the next. But if you're wanting to be deeply connected to your intuition and deeply connected to your life, start asking yourself those questions. Start asking yourself how you can know yourself more, how you can love yourself more, how you can connect deeper to yourself, and you will see big things come together through that. Second thing is working on healing the things that have led you not to trust others / feel like you need to be hyper independent / take care of yourself and not depend on anybody else. So this is one of the most major things that disconnects people from their intuitions, is not trusting other people or not feeling safe enough to open up in some sort of capacity and therefore be hyper independent. And this is a byproduct of past experiences, traumas, limiting beliefs, perhaps. And this is one of the biggest examples that I see for a lot of the women that I work with, is you are raised by a single mom, or you are a single mom. You feel as though you have been burned and you haven't been able to be supported in the way that you've needed to be supported. So therefore, you've had to create this protection mechanism of being hyper independent and kind of closing off your heart and yourself from the world and from others to protect yourself and keep yourself in as good of a place as you possibly can. So that is one example. Another example could be that potentially you were in a relationship where somebody really hurt you and therefore it led you to distrust people. Or you experienced something in childhood where you were bullied, you were picked on, people were mean to you, whatever it may be. identifying those past things and starting to work through them, starting to heal from those things. And if you've listened to the podcast, you've now heard me say this and use this analogy a million times. But if you haven't listened to the podcast, the way that I like to think about this and the way that I like to think about healing in general is if your mind was a garden and you haven't gone through and healed from the things that are holding you back and keeping you disconnected from your intuition, disconnected from your soul, it's essentially like your garden is full of weeds. And a lot of the time when you're out there learning about manifestation online, you'll be told to walk around the garden trimming the weeds down by saying affirmations or doing a meditation or thinking happy thoughts. And while that may work for a short amount of time, it ultimately isn't going to create long-lasting sustainable change because those weeds still have roots underneath the ground. So therefore, they're going to continue to grow back. And so one of the things that we do inside of the Abundant AF Babe Academy that is different to a lot of manifestation programs online is that we don't trim weeds. We don't walk around the garden trimming the weeds because obviously those weeds are going to grow back. So we get to the core of those roots, why they're there in the first place, where they come from. And I give you the actual tools to not only heal from them subconsciously and reprogram the subconscious mind, but also to heal from them on a somatic level, on a cellular level, so that you're creating the space in the ground inside of the garden for you to plant new seeds. And then all you have to do is tend to them and water them and therefore have these big, beautiful flowers growing in their place instead. So that is very, very powerful way to start to strengthen your intuition, because when you have those things that you have not healed that continue to show up time and time again, they're going to continue to block you and stop you from getting what you actually want. The third way to start to strengthen your intuition, and this is honestly probably my favorite one because it's fun and it makes life feel like a game, and life is a game, so why not make it feel that way? So your third one is starting to follow any little intuitive pull that you get, even if it doesn't make sense. So let's say that you get the random pull to reach out to a friend or a family member that you haven't talked to in a long time. Listen to that pull and reach out to that person. That is how you can honor your intuition in such a micro way. But by taking this micro action and continuing to take micro actions, it will add up and compound interest and have a macro effect in your life. So another one could be that you get the urge to go to Whole Foods or whatever store and just wander around. You could get the urge to go up to and talk to somebody that you feel this pull to talk to walk away from a situation or a person that just feels off, to sign up for a class that you've been feeling called to sign up to, having a moment of clarity on something that you've been meditating on, investing in something that you feel excited about or you feel lit up by, randomly feeling like you should walk down a different street than you normally do, taking steps to follow something that you feel passionate about. These are all ways that you can honor your intuition, and the more that you do that, it may not be the direct thing that you're doing that actually your intuition is leading you towards. So like, for example, if you get that intuitive urge to reach out to somebody or to go to Whole Foods or to walk down a different street than you normally do, perhaps your intuition is leading you to a person or a conversation that you need to have that triggers something else in your life. Or maybe it leads you to your soulmate or to the person that has the next job opportunity for you or whatever it may be. So listen to those things, honor those things, make it fun, make it a game. Your intuition is always guiding you down the path of your highest good. So trust it. Know that it's going to be good. Know that it's going to be something that ultimately gives you more abundance in your life. And as you do that, then reaffirm to yourself that it's safe for you to trust yourself and trust your intuition. This is one of the most powerful things when it comes to affirmations, and people don't talk about it enough, is that yes, you can say the affirmation, but if you don't actually provide the evidence to your subconscious mind of what that affirmation means, then you're not creating new neural pathways inside of the subconscious mind. So as you are trusting your intuition, as you are following these little intuitive pulls, going and doing it, but then recognizing, stating to yourself, and providing to your subconscious mind this statement that is backed by the evidence. So it is safe for me to trust myself, and it's safe for me to trust my intuition. Reaffirming that to yourself as you take these intuitive actions, because the more you do that, it will make such an impact on your life. And then the last way that you can strengthen your intuition, and this may feel super funky at first and not very fun at first, but stick with it. I promise it gets better, it gets easier. But your last one is meditation. Meditation is a fabulous way to start communicating with your intuition, as well as an incredible space for you to start to receive those intuitive pulls. So when you are in a state of meditation, you are typically slowing your nervous system down. You're getting into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the state of rest and digest. And the slower that you are moving, the more you are able to hear. The more that you are in stillness, the more that you are able to hear. So again, while it may feel super uncomfortable at first because your ego is trying to pull you out of that situation, the more that you stick with it, the more that you will be able to receive these messages from your intuition. And the more that you can also just start to communicate with it, where you can speak down into your body, speak down into your heart, speak down into your womb space, to your sacral energy, and speak to it and ask questions and listen for what comes up to the surface. That's something that I like to do on a daily basis, where I close my eyes, I focus my energy down into my body, and I ask the questions that I want answers to. And the answer may not come up straight away, and that's okay. I give it time, I give it space, and by giving it time and space, you then are able to receive the message that you are needing the answer to. So very powerful. That is another thing that we really focus on inside of the Abundant AF Babe Academy. But with that being said, this podcast episode is getting long. I don't usually do 40-minute episodes, so thanks for sticking with me if you're still here, y'all. But that's all that I have for you on today's podcast episode. But like I said, if this message really resonates with you, I highly suggest you put yourself on the waitlist for the Abundant AF Babe Academy. This is going to be the last time that you can join the Abundant AF Babe Academy in 2023, as well as pretty far into 2024. So if you're wanting to get ahead for the new year, but also really just set yourself up for success for the rest of your life on learning how you can use the power of intentional manifestation to not only manifest more money and abundance, but also to just be connected to who you are at your core and live the life that you know you were born for, then the Abundant AF Babe Academy was made for you. So click down below in the show notes to join the waitlist. And like I said, waitlist gets early bird pricing and access to claim their spot before anybody else does. And yeah, we got that going on, y'all. It will be coming out very soon, and I'll give you exact details on when enrollment opens on the next podcast episode, as well as if you join the waitlist. So join the waitlist. But that's all I got. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll chat with you on the next one.